Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube, and happy Friday the 13th. And yes, I'm going to discuss some Friday the 13th here with you today. Some of my favorite moments from this franchise are just really, really interesting. I love 1 and 5. 2 is good. I was talking about this with my buddy Mark Gilman last night that 5, you know, when they did Friday the 13th Part 5, and I watched this as a kid, it really, keep in mind, I'd seen the first 4 movies in order prior to seeing 5. So when I watched this, I'm thinking, what are they going to do here? Jason is dead. And to take this big of a risk, to take this direction, not just, yes, it's a slasher. Friday the 13th is a slasher. But in many ways, what the original is and what 5 is a whodunit. And I love it for that. Anytime you can create that element in horror, it makes it all the more fun and all the more entertaining to watch. And really, speaking as just a fan and an audience member, it keeps you engaged. It's not just about a body count. Yes, there is that there. It's in that movie. Body counts do happen in 1 and 5. And I really like the fact that they don't, they sort of give it a kind of a tip off early on with the way Roy looks, but the writers really do a great job of pinning this on Tommy. I mean, they really try to sucker you, and it's not one of those moments where they're pissing you off. It's more of an intrigue. It's like, well, is Tommy doing this? It has because keep in mind the actor who played Tommy Jarvis in Part 5 had very few, if any, lines. His lines were few and far between, and so he didn't have many lines. He was almost mute to the point. He did talk, but barely. So, and he shows, a lot of aggression and anger because of what happened to him as a kid, and it's understandable for sure. But at the same time, what it does, it creates that doubt. And really, his hallucinations of Jason in the mirror help. It sort of helps somewhat convict him, from an audience standpoint. I think that's something 5 does so very, very well. Whereas in 1, when you watch 1, you don't know who the killer is. You keep in mind, this is something I touched upon last night with Mark, that the name Jason doesn't get said till the end. It doesn't get said to Jason doesn't get said about until Pamela actually gets revealed. So they tell you a boy drowned, but they don't tell you his name. So you're left with, okay, a boy drowned. So what? Some murder. You're more interested in the murders, and you're not. To me, I really was not connecting the drowning to the murders. When I first watched Friday the 13th, I wasn't connecting that. I'm thinking that has nothing to do. But I was wrong. Jason, the fact that Pamela is killing on behalf of her son when that gets revealed is just amazing. And really, a lot of the setup is amazing too. Look. You would never trust Freddy Krueger after the reveal, right? I think that's something horror always did. Horror always one upped each other. It's like there was this unofficial, hey, we're gonna one up them. Well, what's something we could add to a character that shocks you? Well, I'll use Pamela and Freddy for this sort of fun little thing. With Pamela, well, with the Killer on Friday the 13th, you do find out it's Pamela Voorhees, but no one suspects her as a killer. In fact, Steve Christie, who's walking up the camp trail, she shines a light at him, and you don't know it's her. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing out in this?" He walks right up to her. He completely trusts her. He has no suspicion of her being a cold-blooded murderer, a psychotic killer. He trusts her with his life, and that's one of the biggest things in the franchise to me to this day is still immensely shocking. With A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy being a husband and a father, you get it. And it makes sense when you go back to what Nancy's mother said. We were so shocked when we found out who it was. Well, when you think of what's going on, even in the original, you're sort of perplexed by that line. Like, wait, why were they shocked? Because it was somebody they trusted. It was a parent. It was a husband and a father. You know, that's to me one of the biggest, best ways to create a heel. That hey, this was somebody we thought we could trust, and we did trust them, and well, it turned out we couldn't trust them. And it's one of those gut punch moments that you sort of enjoy, where it's like, holy shit. Same thing with Halloween. Their twist is a bit different. Now, I'll give a huge shout out to fellow YouTuber and friend Daniel Culver, who pointed this out to me. That imply the sister connection is in the original? Yeah, to me you could. I agree with him. You could, because think about it. Here's Michael Myers. Laurie Strode is a complete stranger to him in the original. This is something even, to me the trilogy hasn't done a good job with this. That Laurie Strode 40 years ago was a complete stranger to Michael Myers. So, and again, I'm not necessarily including the sister connection, but I'm explaining how you can interpret it there before I get to the twist in two. With part one, you could say Laurie Strode's heard the name Michael Myers, because how do you live in Haddonfield and not know that name? Everybody would know that name. They would hear about what happened 15 years ago from their peers, from adults, from enough people that, hey, yes, this happened. He's in a mental institution. Now, they may not tell them where. That's a whole nother matter. So, yes, you could say Laurie's heard the name Michael Myers, but at the same time, there's no direct connection where Michael knows Laurie knows Michael's underneath that mask. She knows he's the one looking at her or watching her throughout that day. No, she doesn't know that. She just says there's a line. Somebody was watching me. Somebody was standing in Mr. Riddle's backyard. They were watching me. Laurie, Mr. Riddle was watching you. He's 87. you know, that's really interesting because, again, she's not saying, well, Michael Myers was watching me. She says, no, somebody was standing in Mr. Riddle's backyard. They were watching me. So when you hear that, and it's not just that he was watching her there, he was also watching her at the school. So, and she knows this. So she's thinking, what is this? Who is this guy? She doesn't know that underneath that mask is Michael Audrey Myers, the kid who killed his sister 15 years ago. So keep that in mind. Plus, you have Michael Myers. He's never heard the name Laurie Strode. The only time he sees her is when she is standing in front of his house. And you can say, well, he thinks that's Judith coming home. I don't buy that, because simply he followed her, and he also followed Tommy Doyle as well. So he followed many different people in this scenario, in this movie. It wasn't just Laurie Strode. He followed Tommy as well. Remember, Lonnie Elam runs into Michael Myers outside the school. So there's that. Because Michael walks the other way and follows Tommy. So there is that. Now, keep that all in mind. Laurie comes over the house. She thinks her friends are pulling a prank. Here's Michael Myers taking his sister's headstone, Judith Myers' headstone, and showing it to a woman who is a complete and utter stranger to him. That is one of the most interesting, complex things about Halloween 1 that you could debate about. Now, the official time they actually reveal that it's his sister is Halloween 2. And that's why It's a great twist, but it's not a big stretch either when you think about that. When you think about that little, headstone moment, it's like, well, now she doesn't have to real. Oh, I'm your sister, but again, him showing her that is an interesting moment for sure. It's not just about Annie's body laying there. No, it's about the headstone itself. Um, you could say was Annie representing Judith at that moment? Annie looked nothing like Judith, is what I'll say. Annie was babysitting, but there's that, and Annie was gonna have sex, um, just like Michael's sister, huh? Huh? But the twist comes in. The big official twist comes in Halloween 2 when Dr. Loomis gets told that Strode girl is Michael Myers' sister. So horror had a great reputation. The horror we grew up with really had a great reputation of one-upsmanship, trying to top one another. And this is something me and Mark had talked about last night that I really wanted to retouch upon here today. That no, you don't need a great twist to sort of be a good storyteller. But at the same time, when it's being done in these franchises and being done in such a way that it's so criminally good, it makes you appreciate the original set of series all the much more. At least it does me. That's something I'll always point. Like, look, I don't know what their twist is for Halloween Ends, but to me, there's nothing topping Laurie and Michael being brother and sister, simply because it was shocking, but at the same time, it's like, oh shit, that girl is one unlucky person. That's what I felt when that was said. I was like, man, this girl's got the worst set of luck I've ever seen. Like, who who wants to raise their hand and be related to Michael? Put your hand down. That's what that would be. Put your hand down, because it means you're in trouble. But I do think that that's, again, to me, for the old school trilogies like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, it always felt like, and I agree with Mark, it was a game of one-upsmanship, and it was played to perfection, my friends. I really, really love the one-upsmanship. It's not just about, again, it's not just about the body count. What's, again, to go back to Friday the 13th a bit, what's shocking about Roy Burns is not that it's just Roy Burns. It's how far Roy goes and continues to go. Even now, where Roy messes up is Tommy showing, and that's, to me, Tommy coming back, I agree with Mark, is the real shocking moment. You now realize, oh my God, it's not Tommy Jarvis. So that reveal, and then after, you find out Roy Burns, and you go, man, Roy went to the absolute extent to frame Tommy Jarvis, and it was beautifully done. Again, really, I love all three franchises. They're really fun to watch. To me, are there movies that I don't like in the franchise? Of course, look, you guys know what those are. But I do think that from when I think what makes me appreciate these trilogies more is their original set of series, is what how far they were willing to go, and they were not afraid to push the envelope. I hope you guys have a happy Friday the 13th, because I have no idea what the hell the title of this video. Uh, I don't know. I'll think of something, I'm sure. You guys have a great day.